And now, our next speaker is Mr. Manel Sanroma, CIO of MMI, the Institut Municipal de Informàtica de Barcelona City Council. He will share with us his experience bringing smart models to city environments and his vision about a smart city, and several projects currently used in Barcelona City. Thank you.
I am still a professor at another university, so the university has been kind of home for me for many years. I will talk to you in 20-25 minutes about what we are doing in the city of Barcelona concerning this smart talk. I don't like this smart talk at all, but I mean, it's okay by us because it is about cities. If we talk about the smart cities, we don't know if we are smart or not. In fact, we don't care, but it's a talk about cities, and then we care. Because Barcelona, I mean, Spain is not a big deal as far as the states are concerned. Catalonia is a small country, so we will never play well in the League of Nations or states for that matter. But we in Barcelona play very well in the League of Soccer, of course, but we play very well in the League of Cities. I will tell you, I mean, if the mayor of Barcelona now calls the mayor of New York, the mayor of New York will be on the phone in 5 minutes. The mayor of Madrid, Buenos Aires, Singapore, wherever. If the president of Catalonia wants to talk to the president of the United States, he will have to wait probably for a couple of days at the very least. And the president of Spain too. So if it is about cities, it's good for us because it's our business. Cities is our business. Barcelona has been in the business of cities for the last 2,000 years. We have been doing pretty well. In fact, we are working on version 5 of the city. And in software packages, the new version must be compliant with previous versions, and I will tell you what previous versions were. But before saying that, I would like to remember that this word, this play of words, Univercity, is very familiar to me because 20 years ago, and I look at it today with Mr. Google, like my colleague, Professor Valverdu. 20 years ago, I was talking about Universitat because this display of words works very well in any Latin language. Université, université, university, university, universitat, universitat, universidad. In Spanish, it doesn't play that well. Universidad, universidad. No, in Spanish, it's complicated. Yeah. But in any Latin, most of Latin, università, works well in Italian too. So this combination of university and city has been there for at least as long as universities have been there. In fact, if you look at the medieval Catalonia, cities were called universitats. When you look at documents in the 14th, 15th, 16th century, you see Universitat de Girona, Universitat de Lleida, and they don't refer to universities there, they refer to the city. Because the origin of the word, university was a collection, a group of people, binded together by relationship. So that was basically a city. And the same word is used for what we know for the last 800 years, sorry, as university. So it's a play of words, but it's very well suited to speak about how technology is changing these universities. Because technology has changed, is changing our lives, that's for sure. The reason is in the transistors, as most of you know very well. The transistor is the most powerful device invented by humankind. Transistors were invented some 70 years ago because of the quantum revolution. They are based, as many of you know, in semiconductors, which are amazing things that should not work unless quantum physics was true, and it is true. And based on semiconductors, 3 guys back in the mid-40s invented the transistor. That's okay. My goodness. The thing is that these devices have been, as most of you know, by Moore's law, which is not a law of physics or not a law of nature, it's a law of humanity, it's a law of economy, it's a law of culture. They have been basically doubling in everything every 2 years. This seems not to be a big deal because, well, now I have 1, in 2 years I have 2, in 4 years I have 4, not a big deal. In 6 years I have 8, that's not, but in 8 years I have 16, then I have 32, then I have 64, and you remember the old saying about the inventor of chess, who asked the prince of India, I don't know where, it's a legend, the prince asked the inventor of chess what he wanted back for his invention, and he said, 1 grain of rice for the first check, 2 grains for the second check, and 4 and 8 and so forth. And the king said, okay, give him and go away. There is no enough production of rice in the world after check number 30 something, 40 or something like that, believe it or not. You can do the calculation, it's very easy. 2 to the 40, it's an unbelievable amount of grains of rice. And this is happening every year with transistors. They started the size of the palm of my hand, and now they are the size of some atoms. And today, the year production of transistors is about 1 million times the production of grains of rice. So imagine the huge amount of grains of rice produced in the world. 1 million times that is the number of transistors produced. So you can put literally 1 transistor on every single grain of rice, and you still have much left. You can put literally 1 transistor on every ant in the world. There are more transistors produced a year than ants, little ants. In one of these gadgets, there are 100 million transistors, 100 million devices that say yes or no, black or white. And this is increasing, it's increasing. I am sure, I'm totally convinced that we will break the quantum limit. There is a quantum limit because when you go the size of an atom, there quantum physics again comes out and says, hey, little boys, here am I, quantum physics, and I'm sure that we will go on. And today, we already have the old dream in our hands of speaking. Jo podria ara estar parlant en català, I could now speak to you in Catalan, and you hear in whatever language you want. We are already there. 20 years ago, this seemed like a dream. Thousands and thousands and thousands of intelligent people have tried to solve this by intelligent algorithms, by smart algorithms. by brute force. Well, it's there because the power of these things are unbelievable. We may not have a chip under our skin, but we have this in our pockets. So, I mean, what else do you need? This is going to lead education, social affairs, politics in the next years, because it's there. And everybody, is there anyone not having a smartphone in his or her pocket here in this? Well, please, if somebody is resistant against it, say it so. I mean, we need some dissenters, we need some people, some criticism, but I mean, it's there. 2 billion devices since introduced in 2007. Do you know how many, we all work, we all love PCs. We all love PCs. Here you have a PC, you have a PC there. You know how many PCs, after 30 years of the invention of the PCs, how many PCs are now in the world? 1 here, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 1,000 in the police, 10,000 in the Polytechnic University, 100,000 the CIA. Do you know how many PCs are in the world? Just 1.5 billion. 1.5 billion. Much less, of course, than the human population, because my wife, we have not dreamed ever, never. I mean, she didn't want to know anything about these devices with mouses and things like that. Because my wife represents the 80% of the population. We only represent the 20% of the population. We, the illustrated, we, the I don't know what, but the smart ones, we only represent at most 20% of the population. We the bankers, we the lawyers, we the politicians, we only 20. The rest is 80% would have never used a PC until Steve Jobs came and said, just one button. Come on, menus, Linux, forget it, one button. And then the mouse, you have it here. It's this finger, not this one. Huh? You have it here. I know that in some cultures this is, well, okay. You have it here. This is the finger. And then you remember the first time, the first time you saw doing like this. So my wife now says, what, so it's not a big deal. I mean, okay, we do it. And billions of people come, and in 7 years we have 2 billion more than PCs in 30 years. And then came the tablet, and we, the illustrated, said, forget about the tablets. There is no place for a tablet. Okay, we accept smartphones. PCs, we love PCs. There is no place in between. 5 years ago, Mr. Steve Jobs said there is a place for tablets. Now, 5 years later, 1 billion tablets in the world. So what is technology? Technology is not what we, the illustrated, invent. Technology is what we, the people, accept. And how do we accept technology? I'm not a sociologist, I'm not an anthropologist, I mean, very complicated. But technology is a part of culture. There is no culture. Technologies, we humans are we are not sapiens, we are technological sapiens. We are species that is based on technology. So technology is nothing that is out of humanity. So this is changing our lives, for sure. It has changed our life, has changed the economy, but it still has not changed our cities. And it will change our cities for one single reason. There is, if not other things, because there, as you very well know, if we conceptualize technological revolution, we are in the third big tsunami. The first one was agriculture, okay? It changed our lives. our ancestors, basically, except for the last 10,000 years, the rest, I mean, there are people like we, not with ties and trousers and things like that, but people like we have been there for at least 200,000 years. Okay, except for the last 10,000 years, so for at the very least 190,000 years, we were chasing after animals and just in small tribes, just tribes of 30, 40 people, not caring for each other and just making a living out of going after animals for food, for a living. Okay, then came agriculture and changed everything. Changed everything because we no longer need to go after animals. And cities were invented. Cities are probably the best invention of humankind, an invention that, by the way, is immortal. We are mortals. All animals are mortal, are to die. All organizations are to die. The UPC will die sometime. Spain and Catalonia will die. These are inventions of humankind, but cities don't die, except for a very few. If a meteorite comes down and destroys the city, or a tsunami comes down, but cities don't die. I mean, tell me, probably you can tell 10 cities in history that have died because of big disasters. Detroit is in a very bad situation, but I bet you that it will be there in 300 years. Barcelona will be here. Long after nobody speaks about Spain or Catalonia, and Barcelona will be here. It was born and it's immortal. And there is one reason. I will not enter into details, but the scientists have studied this phenomena, and they have found that cities are places, inventions of humankind, where you get, no matter who you are, rich, poor, no matter the culture, no matter the place, you get more out of the city than you invest in the city. So there are places that somehow they go against the laws of physics. There is no conservation in cities. You get more from the city from what you put in the cities. And that's why, at the end of the day, everybody wants to live in a city, except for a few that also take profit from the cities. I mean, in the first world, forget about this. We are in 20 years, everybody will live in cities. In the first world, everybody lives in a city. And I said, no. I live in a small village of 30 people. Okay, and you never go to a market. You never. Oh yes, sometimes. Okay, so you live in a city. So everybody lives in a city. And in the third world, more than half of the population already live in the city. And they are going, while we are talking today, 100,000 people will move to a city. Tomorrow, 100,000 people. 1 million every week. 1 million every week move to cities. So basically, we live in cities. But cities were invented in the first technological revolution. They were completely transformed in the second technological revolution. In fact, cities as we know them today are a product of the industrial revolution. Barcelona is a clear example, is a product of the industrial revolution. So the question is, we are in the midst of the third, probably the biggest technological revolution in history, the digital revolution. The question is how this is going to change cities. It has changed our lives. It has changed whole industries. Whole industries have gone. Whole industries have appeared out of nothing. iTunes, Amazon, eBay, remember Kindle, remember Spotify, something that thrills the hell out of the music industry. 10 years ago, RCA, Sony were the kings of music. Now is Apple, Spotify, apart from the singers, of course, which are the most important part of it. But so whole industries are in a turmoil. Our lives have changed. Our life has changed. WhatsApp. What's up? The app. 80 people. 80 people. I know most of them. I mean, we here are 40 people. So basically, all the guys that have disrupted the telecommunications industry, as you very well know, already today, calls in WhatsApp are free of charge, and this means that in 5 years, voice calls will be completely free. Completely free. No matter what Mr. Alierta from Telefonica say, if Mr. Alierta entered here, I just would go out because I am a humble something. He is very powerful. He talks to ministers, he talks to heads of state. 5 years. Voice is free, basically it's free. Telefonica is already buying other things because the business of getting money from phone calls, it's over. And this has been done by not 80, just 3 or 4 guys in Palo Alto. So it's changing our lives, it's changing everything. The best is yet to come, but the point is, how is going to change cities? We have some ideas. Of course, we don't have the answer. The good part of it is that we are in the midst of the revolution, and that's what excites me, because there is nothing already decided. As Thomas Friedman said, if something can be done, it will be done. It's whether it's done by you or to you. And we in Barcelona, we don't want somebody else to do it to us. We want to do it ourselves. There is much talk about smart cities, and every politician in the world these days knows that if you say smart cities, hundreds and thousands of big companies and small companies will come and say, we have the solution. Bullshit, they don't have the solution. Nobody has the solution. The solution is not yet there because we have still not formulated the problem. We have still to figure out what kind of cities we want for the future. And probably the best analogy you can come out with is that cities are like people. All different. I look at you here and I don't see 2 single equal faces, 2 people. I mean, I can distinguish probably because there are no, very few Oriental people in here. Probably if you were from Japan or China, I could not tell your faces. This is a cultural thing. So it seems that Chinese and Japanese look at Westerners and they feel the same. They see that we all look alike. I see that all of you look different. But if you have a headache, and a pill is good for your headache, it's probably good for my headache. You have two arms, I do. I bet you have 1 brain. I bet you have 2 lungs. I'm sure you have 1 liver. So we are all different. We are single people, very individualistic, but we share the same anatomy, we share the same physiology. Cities are exactly like this. They are all different. That's the good part of going to New York. From New Yorkers coming to Barcelona, they say, oh, beautiful city. And Barcelonians go to New York and say, oh, beautiful city, because they are different. Imagine that Barcelona was exactly equal like New York or the other way around. And everything was New York. I mean, that would the world would be very dumb, very stupid. Cities are all different, that's the good part of it. But if we talk about cities, it's like if we talk about humans, then we don't talk about individuals, we talk about what we have in common. And this talk has not been going on for many years. In fact, it has started to go on for the last 5 years or so. Still, every city believes that its problem, that their problems are singular problems, and they have to put all the resources in solving their problems without looking at the city behind or at the city equal to it on the other side of the Atlantic. And that's one of the main problems. In Barcelona, we have decided to solve our problems while at the same time trying to not solve, of course, because we are not an NGO, but try to give hints of how common solutions call common problems call for common solutions. And this is part of our approach. At the end of the day, this goes to particular projects. We have, I will end because I think that I'm talking too much as always. Yes, okay. To summarize what we are doing, I would say that there is a strong political leadership. It's not a question of political in the sense of petty politics. It's in the sense of big politics. When I say political leadership, any organization, no matter it is, any human organization needs leadership. Otherwise, I mean, it's very difficult to work out things. History is written as big movements, but at the end of the day, you need single people. Sometimes they don't go into the newspapers, they don't go into history, but you need leaders. You need people that lead. Leaders may sound too strong, people that lead. And in Barcelona, we have that leadership. It's not me. I'm working with a group of leaders. There is we have put that leadership in the City Hall from day one of the current mayor's office to break inner silos. You have to break silos. Otherwise, every department, every organization, at the end of the day, every city has its agenda, has its budget. While we are talking, there are, in the world, where if we call a city anything from 10,000 inhabitants up, probably we are talking about hundreds of thousands of cities in the world. At this moment, when we are talking, there are hundreds of thousands of organizations which are exactly the same, trying to solve their headaches, their pain ache, one by one. And alchemists go into these people and say, yeah, I have a pill for women, I have a pill for babies, I have a pill for the elderly, I have a pill for blacks, I have a pill for whites. Bullshit. Pills are for human. Maybe the pill which is good for you is not exactly the one, but not so many. There are several types of headaches, but not thousands of types of headaches. So still cities are silos in themselves. Barcelona is trying to solve this problem, New York, London. Imagine, for instance, every city, every big city in the world, every city that has a metropolitan system, a tube, an underrail, has an app for it. Probably in the world there are 400 or 500, between, I guess it's around 400 cities in the world that have metropolitan railway systems in the city. For sure there are 400 apps for that. What is the difference between one and the other? I mean, probably the color, and but they have been invented 400 times. While this device tells me where I am. If I close my eyes and I'm teletransported to some place in the world, I open this, one button, do like this, and it says, you are in Vancouver, or you are in Madrid, or you are in Buenos Aires. Okay, take me from place A to place B. The faster the better, the sooner the better, the cheaper the better. That's the app I need. No. It has been invented 400 times. The same, exactly the same, because if I want to go to place, of course, place A and place B have different names in Buenos Aires, in Barcelona, in Madrid. But so with this example, thousands of different ways of paying the bills of public servants, thousands of different ways of controlling traffic lights. What are we doing? So there is a huge world of putting some, not smartness, some rationality on the way cities are managed. And I will end by talking about with you about one idea that came out. Is, of course, the ideas are like mushrooms, you know. Mushrooms come out at the same time in different places without telling each other. So if you have had an idea right now which you think is very clever, you bet that right now in Singapore, Buenos Aires, or the North Pole, somebody has had the same idea without telling, because time is right for it. So we have come out with the idea of the city operating system. Not big deal. Computers all have operating systems, and not thousands of them. PCs, you have Linux, you have Mac OS, you have Windows, 5, 6. For smartphones, you have Android, you have iOS, you have Windows. So with cities, there is no single city OS. We are starting to build a city OS. We are convinced that in due time, 5 years, 10 years, every city in the world will run its applications on top of one operating system, which is the same in different cities. Probably not one, but Vancouver, Barcelona, New York, Adelaide, Madrid, and Tarragona will run one, and San Francisco, Chicago, I don't know, Quito, or whatever will run another. There will be 3, 4, 5. Match it with the idea, the city protocol comes the idea with the internet protocol. You know that what has changed the world, what has the type of the iceberg of this digital revolution is in the internet, and the internet is based on a common protocol. Every computer in the world talks IP, the internet protocol. Cities should talk the city protocol, things in common. Not what we have is fun. What we have different is fun. It's fun to know different people. But if we talk about common problems, we should work for common solutions. That's our approach. That's what we are working in. And we also think that universities, now talking about universities with S, not with C, should participate in that movement. On one side, because of research, because of innovation, although sometimes innovation and universities are oxymorons. But anyway, to me, I've been in different organizations, and to me, the university as an organization is by far the most conservative organization in the world. Not these organizations, universities. For instance, they talk very little to each other. Very, very little. They are silos. The Polytechnic University of Barcelona is organizing this without telling the other guys at the University of Barcelona. They are telling, probably, I'm not criticizing the Polytechnic University, I'm criticizing the university, the silos that we build together. I think, and Professor Valverdu is still there, that the most revolutionary project that you could come out with is something which breaks silos between the universities in Barcelona. The city of Barcelona would collaborate with that, with money. We are in a good financial status, by the way. This is a commercial. The city, forget about the regional government.
Thank you very much.
Forget about the regional government and the state, Spain and the like. The city of Barcelona would be delighted to have a university, to have somehow initiatives that come out. By the way, you have the cloud, you have social network, you have the technology, you have Macs. Of course, Macs, but you have mobility, you have analytics, big data, you have the cloud, and you have social networks. I mean, technology is there. Please do it. Okay, that's it.
Thank you very much.